public record.
Only one offer that, if that's the time, would be Jimmy Poston. That's the only one I remember.
Do you remember or not? Or?
I'll tell you, I don't
Oh,
remember.
okay. Just making sure. And do you either of you remember the amount of the second offer? Which I assume would be no, since you don't remember it. Okay. After you came out of executive session, after discussion, motion was made by Councilmember Carter and seconded by Councilmember Cox to accept $3,500 offer from Harvey Lane Jr. to purchase the old furniture store and service station, or if the vacant lot south of the structure included, for a total of $10,000 rather than the $8,500 offered. If he elects not to purchase the lot, it will be held and sold at a later date, with Mr. Lane having first refusal at whatever price is established, and the motion carried. Okay. If we go to the next document, it's the deed from the city of Johnsonville to Mr. Lane. And the consideration is $3,500, and it's for parcels 1, 2, and 3. So apparently Mr. Lane decided to take all 3 parcels at that time. There is also a consideration of repair, replacement to improvements, and a commercial structure that should be located therein. And it stipulates that it was to be done within 12 months, or there's a reverter clause at the very bottom of that provision that states that the property conveyed in herein shall revert to the grantor, their successors and assigns under the provision of this deed. The grantor has a fee simple determinable estate, and the grantor retains future interest in the land called a possibility of reverter. And they stipulated that there was 12 months to get it up to where it was in sound shape and a commercial property in that location. And the only ones that are here that signed that, like I said, was Mayor Dukes and Councilwoman Marsh, the only 2 that signed that deed. To come up to 2006, which is where you gave Mr. Lane the quitclaim deed, we have the minutes from the June 27th, 2006 meeting. And a motion was made by Councilmember Skinner to adopt the resolution finalizing the quitclaim in the Harvey Lane case. It was seconded by Councilmember Strickland. Councilmember Kelly wanted to know if it would cost the city anything. Mr. Tanner stated that the city would have to pay legal fees. Council Marsh stated that it should be noted that why the city was deciding to turn the building over to Mr. Lane, the reason being it would cost too much to repair. The motion carried with Council Members Strickland, Kelly, Miles, Skinner, and Marsh saying yay, and Council Member Richardson opposing. All right, now I have a couple of questions, and it'll be basically directed at Council Members Strickland, Kelly, Skinner, and Marsh. When you did the quitclaim deed, The cash consideration of $10,000, only $3,500 had been paid at that time that I could find any record of. Why wasn't the other $6,500 collected, which was the agreed upon price for the 3 lots? No idea.
What 3 lots you talking about?
If you look on the quitclaim deed, there are 3 lots listed. The first 3 items on the deed.
The only thing I know is the furniture store, the gas station, and there's a lot behind it.
The furniture store is 2 lots. No, the furniture store is a lot, the gas station's a lot, and the lot behind it is a lot.
Right.
And they are all 3 individually deeded by this document.
The city owns a lot behind it.
Yeah, that didn't go to
No,
that level.
that's on this deed.
The city owns a portion.
It's
we
yeah,
do
it's
own
a
some,
triangle.
Yes, it's got a weird angle on it. I've just-
It's a pie-shaped piece, but
We do own
Mr. Lane owns it. You deeded it to him, and that's what's of record. Now, my question was, why wasn't the other $6,500 collected from the original amount?
I think Mr. Lane's here, he can answer that for you right here.
Okay, I'd like to confine it to council right now
Well, I
from
mean,
memory.
he was part of this time. Part of the problem that took place at that time was there was some question as to did he fulfill his obligation in terms of upgrading the building that the council had requested. And there were some on the council that said no, some said yes, and it was a butt-head situation. Mr. Lane had put some $10,000, from what I understand, in the roofing repairs. He'd gone and put a vinyl on the front. He'd done a considerable amount of repair work to try to get the building up to par. And even at that point in time, I had the architect to come in and look and assess the building. I had the planning and zoning director from Florence County to come and do an appraisal on the building. I had our maintenance person at the school district office to come and look at the building. And because of ADA and the problems that were in that building, such as asbestos and numerous problems, to get that building up to a level where it could be used for business was impractical. And I came back, I reported to the council what these gentlemen had shared with me, and my recommendation is a tremendous liability. We need to get out of this thing as quickly as we can.
Okay, well, there is no public record of that anywhere.
It was in open session that this discussion took place.
There is no public record. That's all I can
Okay.
state.
Okay.
I have requested all public records, and there is none. What I'm looking at is the facts on the deed and the comments made by council.
I have thought selling the building the way it was from the very beginning, and it may, I know the minutes do not reflect that. Jack Whiteside was here doing all that time. I didn't write the minutes, and you will find those minutes are very sketchy.
Well,
I
they're
noticed a lot of comments
approved
I
and
made were not
signed.
in
That's
there.
all I can go by is they're approved and signed.
Well,
That's all that I can go by. Whether they're acceptable or not, that's up to your body when you approve them. If there's something that's missing or something that needs to be there, it should be made note of.
it may have, and what, and whether the 6, I have no earthly idea. If the 6, as far as I knew, it had been paid.
Scott, do we have any documentation from our legal services advising us on this?
We know we have the quit claim. That's all we would have as far as the legal documents go.
I've checked with Scott, and Scott's been extremely